Coming up on this edition of The Helllllo Show.
The reservation system, did you like it or hate it?
I was disappointed with it. I pretty much got to see what I wanted to see, other than I didn't get into Lucas. I mean, I got up early and tried to get into standby, but we got there at 4:30 on Saturday morning, tried to do standby, because we got into the animation live action thing Friday afternoon by just doing standby. So we're thinking, well, if we get there early enough, we should be good for the Lucasfilm. We got there at 4:30. They let us in the quarter after 5:30, and as soon as we walked into the door of Hall E, they said standby was closed.
Stan talks with Ray Kastner about the D23 experience, the expo from day one right up to the present day. The Helllllo Show, as always, is brought to you by Victor Naraki Realtor, serving Disney in the greater Orlando area with celebratingflorida.com and disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Realtor Victor Naraki makes living near Walt Disney World a reality, specializing in all the communities surrounding Disney. Whether you're looking to relocate or invest in a new property, maybe you want a vacation home for your retirement. With over a decade of experience in the area, Victor will adapt to your needs, help you find the right property, or get you the best price for your property. Reach out to him today on his website, celebratingflorida.com, or at disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Follow him at Victor Naraki Realtor on Facebook, and don't forget to tell him that the Helllllo Show sent you. Broadcasting from the Helllllo Studios, located in a random tree on the planet Dagobah, here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, the center of North America, on this little planet we call Earth. This is the Helllllo Show. On this adventure, Stan pulls out the guest host chair for our returning guest host, Ray Kastner, as they talk about the D23 Expo. All the stuff they loved and didn't love, as well as Ray's experiences visiting every expo since day one. Don't forget your passport to fun and laughs for this one, listeners. So now, please welcome your host. Hey Stan, did you hear Lucasfilm has finally announced Yoda's last name? His full name is Yodelehihu. I don't know. I guess I'm going back to making edible mouse ears. Here's Stan Helllllo.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Helllllo Show. I am Stan Helllllo as always, and joining me today is a guy that's been to every single D23 Expo since they started. I think he went to the first one that wasn't even there yet. I think he was already in. He's at number 0. Ray Kastner, welcome to the show, and how are you today?
Hi, Stan. How are you?
I'm amazing, but you already knew that.
Of course.
So you've been to every D23 Expo. So tell me a little bit about the history of D23 Expo, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, when they announced the D23, I think in March of 2009, they immediately said there was going to be an expo. And so when I joined, I immediately, as soon as we could register for the expo, which was, I think that year was also in September, because I remember I couldn't take any of my younger kids with me because they were in school. So we went to that one, and that one was 4 days.
Oh, okay.
And
they should be 4 days.
Yeah, that one was really nice.
You don't have time to do everything in 3 days.
I know. That's and then the next time they went to 3 days, and we're going like, wait, we can't.
Oh,
and they did. It was 4 days, and to me, that was probably the best expo. Not necessarily because of the content, because you could do everything, because it wasn't the popularity of the expo hadn't caught on yet, because it was the first one. So you had 4 days. You could do pretty much. You could walk into almost any panel you wanted to get into. Nice. And I remember to stop by Lou Mangello's
booth
thing that he had there, and he was saying that people that were watching his live stream of the expo on Wednesday and Thursday were getting on planes Friday and coming to the expo on Saturday and Sunday because tickets were still available.
That's right. Yeah. I remember watching Lou's live show when I was in the box. I was on when he used to be on Ustream. And I was tempted to find out how much a plane ticket was and go out there for the third or the last 2 days after watching the first day. That was quite a while ago now. So that was 2009. Yeah. So then the second one was what, 2011?
Yes.
And then every other year, 11, 13, 14,
13, 15, 17, 19, and then this year.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Do you think they're going to try to go back to the odd years and have one next year? Or do you think
they'll probably go every other year and be on even years. probably.
Okay. I kind of have a feeling we're going to get an announcement there's going to be one next year.
Maybe.
100th anniversary, D23 in 2003.
Yeah, they didn't even usually at the end of the expo they say, well, we'll see you in
2 years.
2019 they said we'll see you in 2021, which of course didn't happen. But
Yeah.
they didn't even say anything at the end of the Parks Expo, which is the Parks panel, which is usually when they kind of say, well, because that's pretty much the last big panel,
right?
And they didn't even say anything.
And not only that, this Parks panel was kind of hum-ha. Would you agree?
Yes, there was some stuff we already knew.
Mm-hmm.
Like
just about everything we already knew.
Well, a lot of the stuff that had quote concrete dates or spring of what we already knew, and everything else was so blue sky that they had to repeatedly say, well, we may or may not do some or all of this. So it's like they spent the last half an hour probably on stuff that sounded great, but there's no guarantee. They emphasized there was no guarantee that any of it was ever going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
So it sounded great.
Skies and smiles, basically.
But I think the Parks panel, the most striking thing for the Parks panel to me was what they didn't say. They didn't say anything about either Tomorrowland,
right,
which needs some serious love.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say anything about a closing date for Splash Mountain. They said that Tiana was coming next year, or what did I say? I got it here somewhere.
I think it was
2024. Is it?
I think it was 2024.
Yeah, 2024. And but they didn't say when the last day that Splash Mountain was going to stay up. And they want to merchandise the heck out of that thing because they're going.
Well,
the last day
they never give closing dates though at expos. I find they seem to just skip over that part. They don't like to give you any bad news ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they never give you anything that's going to be people are going to go, oh, they don't want people doing that at Expo. They want everyone cheering and screaming and going bananas in the crowds. They're not going to tell you closing dates.
And they mentioned a Figment meet and greet at Epcot, they didn't say what was going to happen with that attraction.
The Imagination Pavilion. No, I know.
Right. They didn't say anything. They didn't say anything about whether Mary Poppins is still on the table for the UK pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of what they didn't say that I thought was more striking than what they did say, because most of the stuff they did say either is so blue sky or we kind of already knew.
Well, yeah, like even like the Mandalorian meet and greet in Disneyland. Well, they told us that in Star Wars Celebration that was coming.
Yeah.
They told us that they were going to, last Expo, they said we're going to have 3 new ships. And we're going to have the first one, the only thing we learned was the name of the next ship. That's the only thing that we learned as far as cruise lines go. And Peter Pan is going to be... And
I heard people joking about the fact that
it
it being the Disney treasure that it had to do with Bob Chapek's wallet.
And what does Aladdin, a street rat that grew in the desert, have to do with the ocean?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the fact that the show is on another ship.
Yeah. Like I can understand Peter Pan and Captain Hook being on a ship and stuff like that, but Aladdin has nothing to do with. He's in the desert. He's all of a sudden on the ocean. Okay, fine. Anyways, so you say that the first one you went to is probably the best one in 2009. How does this one rank?
The content and what the experience has always good for me. So it's kind of hard to compare all those, but they keep trying to tinker with how you get into the panels, and they never stick with one or try to improve it. They start with something new, and then my biggest, like, I know before the show we wanted to talk about the reservations. Like
let's get into that.
The lottery thing, the reservation system should have worked. They just didn't explain it very well. They didn't. What I thought and how my son interpreted and what they let us do were totally different. I thought when they said that we could do 4 things in each category, I thought that meant for over the full 4 days. So when I signed up, I only signed up for 3 big panels and 4 side panels. And then I found out that you could do 4 things a day on the stage pass things. So a lot of people just fill them all out. Well, they didn't bother to tell us that we were only going to get 1 choice a day.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And if I would have known that, I wouldn't have signed up for so many.
Let's back up a little bit. So people that aren't familiar, they sent us an email and they directed us to a website. And on that website, you could pick which panels and which things you want to do. If you want to get an autograph, or if you want to get a freebie, or if you want to get a panel or whatever, and you can pick 4 things per day, kind of. Now, they never explained to us that you're only going to get 1 thing per day.
Right.
Now, had they explained that, well, I'm not going to pick a free Pixar ball over going to see the Parks panel.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if that's the case, well, the only thing I'm going to pick for Saturday is the Lucasfilm panel. The only thing I'm going to pick for Sunday is the Parks panel. I'm not going to pick anything else, because if I'm only going to get 1 per day, that's all I want. Type of thing. And so it was kind of
not that they've done the lottery thing. You went to Star Wars Celebration, they've done the lottery thing. So and you had good luck with that, correct?
Yeah, so the way they did it at Star Wars Celebration was they gave us X amount of things to pick, and you either win it or you don't win it. And some people were getting 3 things a day. Some things where people were getting 1 item per day or whatever. And people were grumbling about that too. I mean, you're not going to make everybody happy. That's just the way it is. But you got some big things and you got some small things, and you would get a couple things. Pretty much everybody got at least 1 thing per day. Some people got 3 things per day. And that's kind of how I thought this was going to work.
Right.
Like, why give us 4 options if you're only going to give us 1 answer? Like, you know what I mean?
Disney has this propensity to they get an idea that is somebody else uses.
Yeah.
And then they try to do it their way.
Now, what I did like about the reservation system that they had for Expo that they didn't have when they did Star Wars Celebration. So Star Wars Celebration, let's say a group, you, me, and Ed and Charlie are going. So Star Wars Celebration, we had to link our tickets together, and we either all got in or none of us got in. Was how it worked for Star Wars Celebration. Now with D23 Expo, you, me, Charlie, and Ed are going. So you and I both get passes, but Charlie and Ed don't. So we're allowed a guest each.
Right.
So you could bring
Charlie.
Yeah,
I just told my son when he did the pick, I says just add a guest on everything. That way, if you get it and I don't get it, I can go. And if I get it, you don't get it, you can go.
And what even had to decide whether we're going to choose a guest or not is ridiculous, because you might meet up with somebody and go, "Hey, I got an extra ticket for this Parks panel. Do you want to come?" You're not going to say, "I don't want to bring a guest." Like, seriously, who's going to say that?
Yeah, when they did it in 2019, they did a guest thing, but what they had then is it was a first come, first serve, and you just picked which ones you got, and you knew when you got done with your signing up, you knew which ones you were going to say. The problem was there were 3 of us in my house that were going.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my son got the stuff we picked. My daughter never got far enough into the queue that when she got through, there was anything left.
Well, yeah, see, that's what a problem runs in.
At the same time, in the same house, on the same network.
Yeah.
And she got nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like a lotto type thing. It wasn't first come, first serve, I don't think. Was it?
Yeah.
No. Was it?
No, you got in a queue and you just picked the ones you want, and when they filled up and you couldn't get them in anymore.
Okay. I can't remember that far back. You got good memory. But yeah, and that's a problem too with this one guest thing, is if you're a family of 3, who's going to not go?
Right.
You know, like okay, we got the Lucasfilm panel, we got 2 tickets, and there's 3 of us.
One of us got in, 2 of us didn't. Who gets to go?
Or 2 gets in and 1 doesn't. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, 2 got in and 1 is you just guessed the other person. So
no, but if you only win of the 3 of you, if you only win 1,
right?
Now you got 2 tickets only. You got you and your guest. So someone's not going. Someone's not going to be your guest.
Right.
I mean, there was ways around it. You can find a person that's going by themselves and go, "Hey, would you mind taking them in with you?" Because honestly, nobody even looked to see if you had a guest or not.
No.
When push came to shove and you were in there and they're handing out the wristbands, they never looked at your app to see if you had a guest or not. They never scanned anything. They never looked at anything. They just, mind you, I only did standby, I think, for that. I don't think they scanned our tickets when we had reservations.
Right.
So then they
didn't bother to check. They didn't bother to scan to make sure that you hit. Yeah. They might have checked whether you had 1. We only did it once, so I only had 1 reservation I used it for, and that we used it each of us for it. So it didn't. I didn't really bother to check how closely they checked the guest part of it.
Yeah. So, anyways, the reservation system. Did you like it or hate it?
I was disappointed with it.
Yeah.
I pretty much got to see what I wanted to see, other than I didn't get into Lucas. I mean, I got up early and tried to get into standby, but we got there at 4:30 on Saturday morning to try to do standby, because we got into the animation live action thing Friday afternoon by just doing standby. So we're thinking, well, if we get there early enough, we should be good for the Lucasfilm. We got there at 4:30. They let us in the building a little after, about when we got into the building quarter after 5, 5:30, and as soon as we walked into the door of Hall E, they said standby was closed.
Yeah.
And apparently because people were standing outside from like midnight or earlier.
Yeah. I know they always say you can't line up overnight. There are people lining up like at 1 a.m. or midnight. Like, I don't know how you can stop that.
So I was disappointed on what I didn't. I mean, I was disappointed on what I got. Plus the fact that it really wasn't explained real well.
That was the thing
beforehand.
And the other thing too is so when you're in that basement and you're queuing up to go into the big hall, they have section A, B, and C. I had no idea what section A, B, and C means. And I'm like, well, which section should we stand in?
A's to the left, C to the right, B's in the middle.
Right. Well, nobody explained that. And no matter who I asked, they didn't know. They just said pick one.
Well, see, here's the other thing that was a problem with Saturday morning is not only did they didn't prevent anybody from queuing up all night, which they said they weren't going to allow. They told everybody when you got your reservations that after Expo started that for the big things in Hall D23 that you had to show up no later than an hour before the session. Mm-hmm. They were letting people with reservations into that room 5 minutes before the scheduled time. They were letting people still come in while we're sitting there in standby trying to figure out whether we're getting in or not. Well, they're still allowing stand-up. They're still letting reservation people to show up. We're going like they should have put those people at the end of the standby queue and said, "Sorry."
What they needed to do was open the hall doors earlier.
Oh, I've been telling them that for years. It's like, I mean, after 6 expos, not counting this one, 6 expos, you should know how long it takes to fill that room.
Right, I know. They open the doors like 15 minutes before the panel starts.
Well, the explanation that I got when I asked them about it on Sunday was that they had rehearsal issues, technical issues, and some other issues and escalator issues that were keeping them from getting people up to the room earlier. But when they were putting people in there on Friday afternoon for the thing, they still were trying to load 8,000 people in there in a half an hour.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And you should know.
They
should know how long it takes to fill that room, and they just don't start soon enough.
So they got technical issues. As a person sitting on a cold, hard floor, on a cement floor in a basement in a damp room, would you rather do that or sit in a nice chair and watch some technical issues happen?
Well, when we went to the parks thing on Sunday, we missed the first. It was the only big panel that they had that in that room that they started on time. So they started the thing at 3:30 or whatever time it was.
Yeah, Parks was earlier than that.
Oh, maybe it's 12:30. Or was it 10:30? No, it was 10:30. 10:30.
Yeah.
We didn't get into the room until 10:45, and they'd already started it. So we missed the first 15 minutes. So when people were talking about that they had announced that Harmonious or that Happily Ever After was coming back to the Magic Kingdom, I'm going like, what are you talking about? Well, that's the part I missed.
Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing too. Like the doors are supposed to open at 10 o'clock in the morning?
9
or 9 in the morning? 9 in the morning, the doors are supposed to open for the convention. So we're outside. We get there at 8. Well, they didn't open the doors until like on Friday morning until well after 10:30. It was like quarter to.
I wonder if they were waiting till they got everybody out of the basement.
That's exactly what they're doing. They were getting everybody into Hall D23 before they opened the doors. Okay, but you know what? You advertise you're going to open at 10. Open at 10. Like, get the people into that room earlier. I don't understand it. I'm just
even the floor. I mean, we were on Saturday because we couldn't get into the Marvel Lucasfilm thing. We just decided, well, we'll just do the show floor on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not let us in. They did not let us in, or even on Friday. I don't think we got there at 7 o'clock on Friday, and we didn't get upstairs and onto the show floor till 9:30, somewhere around there.
You were in the show floor because you messaged me and you said you were on the show floor, and it was about 9:30. We were still outside for another half hour before they even opened the doors on that side of the building.
Yeah, because they didn't bother to send us upstairs until after 9.
Anyways,
and it's
enough
about the
downside. Let's talk about the good. So the first, I'm going to talk about the good. The first panel I went to was a Simpsons panel. Well, that was horrible.
All right.
I went to the Simpsons panel in 2019, and it was phenomenal. It was an amazing panel. I went on and on about how much I enjoyed it. I was laughing the whole time. It was great. They had all the actors there and all the writers, and it was amazing. For whatever reason, this one just seemed to drag on. Like it was not a fun panel at all. They had a couple of writers, one actor, Lisa, and I don't know. It wasn't very very good at all. But I don't know. What was your first panel of the day? You only went to one panel that day, right?
Right. We went to the movie, the Pixar Disney animation live action Disney Studios.
Yeah,
whatever.
The magic of Disney and Pixar. That one. Yeah, that was a good. I went to that one as well. So that one was really good. Did you get good seats for that one? Did you have a reservation, or where did you?
No, I didn't have a reservation. We were standby. We were way off to the left. I thought that was. It's hard to say. I thought it was good, but I didn't get a good feel because they basically just showed us trailers on most of the things that I didn't really get a good feel on any of the movies of how good they were going to be. They were going like, well, they could be good, they could be okay, they could be awful. But
yeah, I felt the opposite. I felt walking out of there, I thought to myself, okay, Disney is going to own 2024 in the theaters and in streaming.
Well, my biggest problem with that session was, except for the Pixar animated series and some of the couple of Pixar movies like Elemental, and I mean the Pixar stuff I thought was looked pretty decent, but
Mm-hmm.
when it went to live action, it was like there wasn't anything there that wasn't a reboot.
It was totally reboots
or a sequel.
Yeah, because there was like Snow White, which I think is going to do really well. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the reboots of the live action remakes, but I'm really excited about that one.
Little Mermaid looks like it could be good.
Which one?
The Little Mermaid looks like it could be good.
Yeah, Little Mermaid looked really good. The how they had her hair flowing and her the way her tail looked and all that. They showed us all of the part of your world.
Yeah.
The whole thing, that whole segment, it looked beautiful, absolutely stunning. I felt.
But as far as Pixar, Win or Lose, that series that they're doing looks like it could be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Then they also had Mufasa's coming out, which is kind of like the prequel to Lion King.
Yeah,
which I thought
that one looks like it could be beautiful. I'm just not sure about that one because I'm like, do we really needed to know the origin story of Mufasa? But we'll see. It could be good.
I'm hoping that it kind of makes us feel like we don't get to see much of Mufasa in the Lion King,
right?
Like we're told he's a great king, but we don't know much about him, type of thing, other than he's a great king and he turns out to be a dad and he's an okay dad and he tries to save his son and his uncle his brother kills him. So now we get to find out how he got to become king, and did he have the same type of troubles that his son did becoming king? Like I'm excited for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Another panel that we went to. Oh my gosh, this sounds like an amazing panel. Let me read this to you. So it's who is honored with a window on Main Street, USA.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a fan of Disneyland or Magic Kingdom, and in particular you're into the details and who the legends are and whose names are on the windows, this sounds like it'd be the panel for you.
Right. And if I hadn't gotten into the panel that I got into on Friday, I'd have gone to that.
Yeah. It sounds like this is going to be, and I'm expecting them to roll out these people that have their windows in Main Street and kind of show pictures and talk about what it meant to them. Oh my gosh, what a boring panel. It was like probably the second worst, if not the worst panel I've ever been to in my life in any convention ever.
So what did they actually do?
So I guess there's a book coming out that's going to be about the windows on Main Street. So the entire panel was advertising this book. Now, okay, that's fine. Let's talk about the windows on Main Street and show some of the pictures that are going to be in the book and talk about, some of the people that are honored on Main Street. But no, it was about the book. And it was not about the contents of the book. It was about, they talked about the cover of the book, and then they talked about the fonts that they used, and they talked about who the artist was that drew the cover, and then they talked about the back of the cover, and they talked about how the chapters are going to be laid out in the book. It was zero about Main Street, USA, and the windows.
Is this a Disney Editions book?
I don't know what it is, but it
Because
was.
I thought there was already a book of windows on Main Street that was
I'm
probably
sure
done
there
by
is.
a
There's got to be a book about
third-party
windows on
publisher.
Main Street. So, anyways, we left. We sat there for about 20 minutes in this hour-long panel, and we kind of looked at each other and pointed to the door, and we're like, "Yeah, let's go." So there was 3 of us at that panel. And we got up and walked out. And after we walked out, there was a train of people behind us coming out. We kind of started the people going. We met actually Sam, who was at our dinner that we went to with the Grand Circle Tour. We saw him on the way out, and he saw us leaving, and he got up and followed us. And we were kind of chatting out by the door. It was just person after person walking out of that door. It was. I felt bad for them, but it was not entertaining at all. So
good. I'm glad I didn't go.
yeah. So after these first 2, so I went to those first 2 panels. I went to 3 on Friday. I went to that one and that one, and then the celebration of magic of Disney and Pixar, and I really enjoyed that one. The celebration of Disney and magic and Pixar. I thought that was. I'm excited. I'm excited for the future for movies for sure.
Yeah, I just wish Disney live action would just try to come up with an original IP and try not to.
But the thing is, when they do, nobody goes
had
to it.
One of them that was original, I would have been happy with. But there wasn't one that wasn't.
Yeah, when they do, nobody goes to it though. Like they had that. What was that one about the superheroes? Nobody went to it. It was like the lowest grossing Disney movie of 2019.
Yeah,
that's part of the problem.
Well, maybe they just need a better IP to do.
Yeah,
but I'd rather have them take a chance on something that's new than just keep retreading everything.
Yeah,
that was my biggest. I'm going like, I walked out of there and I'm going like, did they talk about anything in live action that was new? Nope,
not really. So Saturday, you went to the. Did you get into the Lucasfilm one? You said you did.
No,
you didn't. Okay, so you stood in line for a bit and didn't get in.
Right.
Yeah.
So we went shopping instead, and then we went to the Muppets Christmas Carol, which we're doing that afternoon or that.
Yeah, that was at 1:00 in the afternoon. The Magic in the Air 30 Years of the Muppets Christmas Carol. I really enjoyed that panel.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah,
that was good.
That was really good. A lot of good stories. At the end, they brought out the Muppets and they sang Magic in the Air, which I wish they would have had them for more than just the one song.
Yeah.
Like it was good though. It was so awesome. That's my first time ever seeing Muppets live.
I had gone to a Muppets panel a couple expos ago. That was really fun too. It was it was just basically all the puppeteers and voice people that were there. And this is back when Steve Whitmire was still with Muppets, and it was just funny. It was a lot of fun, and so I had high expectations for this one, and they did not disappoint me.
Yeah, and they had John Williams there. Not John Williams.
Yes.
Was it
Paul Williams?
Paul Williams. Yeah, Paul Williams at that panel, which is cool to see. He's lost a lot of weight. He's
like 80 something.
yeah. But he has such enthusiasm for the Muppets and such love for them. I love the line where the guy that plays Gonzo. What did he say? Something about there's no song about Gonzo or something like that, or he made some kind of crack to Paul Williams.
Oh yeah.
And then Paul Williams said, "And there never will be now," or something like that. Like that. It was good. It was all. That was a whole. It was so much fun. Did you go to any other ones on that Saturday?
The Santa Clauses.
Oh, okay. How was that one?
That was a lot of fun. Tim Allen was there, and Elizabeth Mitchell, Cal Penn, and a couple other the actors that were the elves, and then I think they had the director and the producer there. I'm not positive, but one of the elf actors is Tim Allen's daughter, and they kind of went through the whole thing of how she auditioned for it, and Tim goes like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I don't want to have any influence on this. Just let me know whether she makes it or not. And Tim Allen was just hilarious during the entire thing. He was just he was funny.
Yeah. He came out. Did he come out on that? There was a Disney Plus panel he came out on that I saw, and he was really good in that one as well. That might have been on Sunday. No, that would have been on the Friday one. The showcase. Did he come out on the showcase one?
I don't know. I didn't go. No. You mean the Pixar thing?
No. He came out on the Disney Epic Entertainment Showcase, the musical, the extravaganza. He came out on the stage for
that
one
one,
as
right.
well. So he must have did that and then raced over to the Santa Clauses because they were pretty much back to back. Yeah, he was hilarious in that as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that show. I mean, it was.
Now, when I saw that title, the Santa Clauses, I didn't know there was a new movie coming out.
It's a series. It's a series
or a series. Plus. Yeah, a series on Disney Plus. I didn't realize there was, and I thought it was going to be about them talking about the 3 Santa Claus movies that are already out.
Oh, okay.
So when I saw that title, I went, well, I already seen the movies. I don't know if I want to. So I didn't really, want to go to that one too much. But yeah, that was good. That was a good one.
Part of the game on some of these panels, on these side panels, is not so much on the big ones, but on the side panels, is the guessing game as far as who's going to show up and who isn't.
Yeah.
And there had been rumors that Tim Allen might show up. It was pretty much a given that Elizabeth Mitchell, who's Mrs. Claus, was going to show up. There was some rumors that the guy that played Bernard, David Krumholtz, was going to show up. He didn't.
Okay, which is kind of surprising. You think he'd be there?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that as the thing went on and they were talking about it, that he was also going to show up, and he didn't. Yeah. But so that's always the game on some of the smaller panels, is like who's going to be there. And you probably ran into that with the Simpsons panel. You probably had all these things about who might be showing up to that, and then most of them didn't.
And one shows up. Yeah. That was the issue there. Well, you kind of think that Tim Allen. That happened to us with Big Shot on the Disney Plus show. Big Shot. We thought that John Stamos was going to be there.
Right.
And instead,
the only star of the show.
Yeah, he's the star of the show. You think he'd be there, and it was all the kids that came, and which is fine. We figured, okay, the kids are there. We're waiting for the end, and we thought that like the last minute he kind of come out and give them all a hug and wave to the crowd.
And I think that's why I let you guys know, because I heard that they were going to talk about Big Shot. I'm going like, well, John Stamos was going to show up, and I know you were talking to Holly, and Holly was looking for looking for anything that Stamos was going to show up at. I'm going like, you might want to head over here.
Yeah, she knew he was in the building, so she was on high alert, hunting, literally hunting for him the entire day. So we went to 3 panels trying to find him, and we finally saw him on the 3rd panel. But again, he came out just for a little bit at the end and kind of waved to the crowd and walked off. And she took off to go get a closer look.
I've gone to a couple expos where the 2 previous expos where he hosted or moderated a panel on Sunday, and because he's such a Disney geek anyway, that he would host these panels, and so I'm figuring, well, he's going to host another one. He's going to do something, and not this year apparently.
Well, he came out on stage for the last one we went to on Saturday, the Disney Epic Entertainment Showcase, the musical, the extravaganza. So he came out on that one, which was in Hall D23, which is the big panel, the big hall, to talk about Big Shot. He didn't go to the small panel. He came to the big panel, and he didn't talk so much about his show at all. He talked more about, I'm sorry, who was his co-host that passed away recently for his big show he had in the 70s?
Bob Saget.
Bob Sajak, yeah. So he talked about Bob Sajak the whole time, and how much he meant to him, and which was really nice. He didn't talk about himself. He didn't talk about his show. He talked about his friend. And they had some pictures go up on the screen of them when they were first met and whatnot. So it was really touching, actually, that little segment. He did talk about being a Disney fan, and he was saying that he's a president of the Famous Persons Disney Club, and Neil Patrick Harris is the vice president. He said something like that. But yeah. So then Sunday,
did he talk about it? Did he do his story that he usually tells every time about how he got the Disneyland sign?
Well, he said I have the sign to prove it that I'm the president. It was what he said. But he didn't talk about the story.
The basic story is that he bid some ridiculous number thinking he wouldn't get it, and then he ended up getting it.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm gonna get outbid on this, and it's not gonna go this cheap. And then he got it.
And that was kind of like right when eBay first started.
Yeah,
that he did that, and it was like the first year of eBay, and that was kind of like the deal that made eBay as big as it did. That people were like, wow, you can actually sell stuff on here because it got out. That the Disneyland sign was sold on eBay. Anything else for Saturday?
And that was it for us.
Yeah, the Electric Mayhem concert was like my highlight of the day for that one. How about you?
I was just so happy with the Muppet Christmas Carol and the Santa Clauses they were 1A and 1B for me. That I was just even though we didn't get into Lucasfilm, I was happy with that day.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'd gone to Lucasfilm, we wouldn't have gone to Muppets,
right?
And we might not have been able to get into the Santa Clauses based on when that thing ended. I'm not sure we would have gotten in on a standby.
Yeah,
but so I got two things that I really was happy with instead of one thing I would have been. I don't know if any people that went to it saw it. I'm not sure how that panel went as far as whether there was anything really great in it other than Harrison Ford being there, and so I'm not sure how that one went.
Yeah, that sounded like the highlight. Yeah, that was the the Disney Epic Entertainment Showcase. That's one that they started with the Electric Mayhem performing. So I got to see the Muppets twice on that same day.
Great.
The two panels we went to. So yeah, so that was awesome. And then they Muppets actually did a third panel at the Disney Plus stage, which for people that don't know, the Disney Plus stage is a very intimate stage. It's small. You just walk in. You don't have to have a reservation or anything like that. It's a blue carpet. And you basically sit down on the floor, and everybody sits wherever they want on the floor, and you're right up close to the stage. Like the stage is right there. And Janice, Floyd, and Animal, and the Muppeteers for them came out and did an interview. The host interviewed not the Puppeteers, but rather Animal, Floyd, and Janice.
Oh, great.
I got to watch it later on YouTube, and I wish I was there. Then afterwards, they kind of went and took selfies with everybody that was in the room. That would have been something to see. They interviewed the characters rather than the actors. So, and you're right up close with that stage. Did you see anything at that stage at all? Did you go in there?
Probably went by there a bunch of times. I don't think I stayed for anything.
Yeah, we stayed for a couple of them. I really like that setup, and they were short. They're like 20 minutes long with a 10-minute break, and then another something else came out.
Yeah, they've done that similar. I went to one. Not sure which expo it was. It might have been 17, where they had Jim Cummings and a kind of like, it was one of that stage that was kind of in the middle in the front, and it was basically a half an hour, and it was just him just doing all his character voices and
yeah, I think
it was basically kind of like that. And I guess
I kind of think the next time I would spend more time in that area, because you never know who's going to come out, basically. Right. I mean, they got a schedule. They were way behind schedule. They were a half hour behind schedule or more. And they just played like little skits or games or whatever. It was a lot of fun. So Sunday morning, what time did you get there?
We got there again at, let me see, Sunday. We got there again at 4:30. Well, a little after 4. Since we got there at 4:30, and when we got there at 4:30 on Saturday, we were outside. We were already past. We were halfway down where the Westin Hotel is on Catella there on Catella. So that's where we got into the line on Saturday at 4:30. So we got there. I think we got there between 4 and quarter after 4 on Sunday. The line wasn't nearly as long, and we got in. We still didn't know whether we were gonna make it in on or not, because they don't really tell you. The line wasn't cut off, so we kind of were hoping. So, and there was my son and I had a little bit of an issue with some people in the next line. I mean, in the next, you know how it goes where you're kind of in a lane in there, and when there was a little bit of a space because we hadn't moved fast enough, and they were in the lane behind us, which means they got there after us, decided to cut in front of us.
Oh, so they shift a whole lane over.
Yeah, so
basically cutting in front of about 1,000 people.
So I just cut back in front of them.
Yeah.
I just walked right past them and I go, "Excuse me," and I kind of
yeah.
They weren't too happy, but whatever.
Yeah.
I got there before they did, so
did you get into So did you get into the parks panel?
Yes. We were in the last 2 rows. We were in the last 2 rows of section B, but we did get in. Okay, because we were in a standby line, kind of in the hallway of the show floor, and we were like less than halfway in that line, and we got cut off. They told us we weren't going to make it in. That it was we were an hour and a half waiting in that line, and we didn't get in. Yeah, we were down for like 4 hours. Wow. By the time they let us in at like 5 or so, and we were probably in that. By the time we got downstairs, we were probably in that line 4 hours downstairs in the basement. Gosh. And we did get in. We barely got in, but we did get in. But we missed the first 15 minutes of the. It was. I'm surprised because we were figuring, oh, well, we'll be okay. And then they decided to start it on time, which was one of the few that they actually started on time. Yeah. And so we missed the first 15 minutes.
Like, again, let people in early. Like, seriously, what are you having people standing around in this basement for? Let people in earlier. Like,
yeah, and like you and I talked about, they know how long it takes to fill that room.
Yeah.
You can't get 8,000 people in a room in a half an hour.
And doesn't matter which convention you go to, you swear it was their first one every time. Whether you go to San Diego Comic-Con or you go to New York Con or you go to Expo or you go to Celebration, every single time you swear it's the organizer's very first convention because they haven't got a clue what happened last time, or they didn't listen to any of the
surveys. They don't learn anything from the prior one. Yeah, and they just like they're reinventing the wheel. And
yeah. So the parks panel, how does this rate compared to the previous 6 expos you went to?
As far as the parks panel, this is probably the least exciting parks panel I've ever been to. Yeah, because there was nothing we didn't know, or stuff that we didn't know was so blue sky that we're going like, well, we may do it, we may not. It sounds great. If you do it, it sounds great.
Yeah.
I mean, like
even honestly, the stuff that they say they might do didn't even sound all that great. Like,
well, the stuff beyond Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, if they do a villains section, that sounded exciting.
Yeah.
The other stuff I can the Coco or Encanto stuff I can take or leave. If they do it, great. I'm sure I'll do. I wasn't a huge fan of Encanto, but I wasn't a huge fan of the Avatar movie, and look what they did with Pandora. So it's like, and I just looked at my son. I said, well, if they do the Encanto thing, I'm hoping they do is equally a good job with the Encanto section of land that they did with Pandora, because I wasn't a fan of the Avatar movie. So I'm going. We'll see.
So for Sunday, Holly and I each had reservations. She had for the Disney Princess concert live, and I don't even know what that was. I think it was Broadway singers from the different princess movies performing live on stage. And we also had a conversation with Disney character voices, which I'm thinking was like Mickey Mouse and Pluto and all. We didn't go to either one of them. We decided to leave early. It was crowded. I don't recall ever seeing a final day of a convention that full. Do you?
No, it was pretty. Yeah, it was pretty crowded.
Yeah,
but the whole thing was sold out. It was like if you didn't do shopping on Saturday morning, by Saturday afternoon, it was probably getting. We went. I didn't get one thing. I mean, I went into one of the store and I him and hawed about getting an Ahsoka Tano action figure.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get it Saturday, and I hemmed and hawed on whether I should get it or not, and I didn't get it. And then overnight, I'm going like, I'm just going to go get it. So we went and got it on Sunday, but the store looked like a totally different store on Sunday afternoon than it looked like on Saturday afternoon. It was like there was just nothing left.
Yeah.
And I was worried because I'm going like, oh God, I hope they still have it. And they had a bunch.
Well, that was just it. And then like the big stores, you could make that reservation system like you would do a park reservation, a boarding pass.
Virtual queue.
Yeah, virtual queue boarding pass type thing, the same as you would for Rise.
And I only used it on that big store that was on the first floor. The stores that were on the second floor, the Mickey's of Glendale one, we just walked in.
Okay.
We didn't have a reservation for that, but because everybody was at Marvel, we just walked in.
Okay. So the Mickey's of Glendale store, that's the one I wanted to talk about. So they had a bunch of Muppet stuff.
Yeah.
And they had it now there's 2 Mickey's of Glendale. Actually, I guess there was 3 because there was the pin one,
which we didn't go to.
I didn't go to that one. There was the main one, and then there was one upstairs. So we were in line to get into the main one, thinking this is where the Muppet stuff is. And I said to the guy, I said, do they still have the Muppet hats available? And he says, I don't know for sure. I think they're sold out, but you're in the wrong store. They're upstairs. And we're like, oh, we haven't got into the store yet. He says, yeah, no, you got to go upstairs for that. Well, okay. Well, that's the only thing I'm in this line for. So let's go upstairs. So we go upstairs. Well, they didn't have any Muppet stuff at all. It was only D23 items, souvenirs, like T-shirts and hats.
Yeah, there were 2 stores upstairs. There was D23, and then they had another one that was the D23 and Mickey's of Glendale. So they had 2 stores upstairs on the second floor.
Yeah. So the guy said, you want to go to the one upstairs. That's the one you want to be in. And we're like, okay. So we went up there. Well, but the time, this was near the end of the day already. So we
On
realized
Sunday or Saturday?
this was Saturday.
Okay.
So we're like, well, we're in the wrong store. There's no Muppet stuff here at all. So we left, and by the time we got down to the main floor, everything was closed. They weren't allowing any more people in. So we made a reservation for Sunday. Well, by then everything was sold out.
Yeah.
So we got into the right store. There was a couple Muppet things left, but everything else was like the hat was gone. They were sold out. And I said, people want Muppet stuff. You got to have more Muppet stuff available for people because it sells out. Like, So, and I think the T-shirts, all that was left was smalls in the T-shirts. Like it was.
Yeah, my son was looking for some Tron stuff in the store that was on the first floor, and when we went on and both days that we went in there, that was Saturday was a little bit better than Sunday, but Sunday all that was left were smalls and extra smalls.
Yeah, that's all that was left, and that's all going to be out the outlet mall next month in Florida, probably. So anyways, what you said at the beginning that you went to you skipped the legend ceremony and you do the big booths that end up, always going to have big lines over the weekend. Is that your number one tip for people that are?
I mean, unless you really want to see the people at the Legends thing, the floor time is so valuable to me on Friday morning that it's I don't even think about it anymore. I mean, unless there was really, really, really somebody I really wanted to see, and then even then it was like, no.
Yeah, like if they're going to put Kermit the Frog in there, in the Legend,
it was really a surprise during the Legends thing, and my son had gone to one where I didn't go to, and there was one where Johnny Depp showed up and Jack Sparrow as Jack Sparrow one year, and I'm going like, oh, that would have been cool, but I'm okay with not going.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take your advice and do that next year. I'm not going to go to any of the Friday morning panels and just hit everything on the sales floor, on the show floor.
No, did you get into the Emporium this year where the vendors were?
I don't think so. We did. I didn't buy anything.
Where the third party sellers were.
Yeah, like selling the pins and stuff like that. And
yeah, did it seem smaller this year than?
It seemed extremely small.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some years that I could go through that thing a couple times and not see everything, and I'm going like by the third day, I'm going like, yeah, I've seen all this stuff a couple times now.
Like I collect those trash can pepper shakers, and I need 3 more to complete my collection. I found one in the entire convention hall. Like out of the entire comic or D23 Expo, I found one pepper shaker, and it was a Figment from 2018, which I already had. And I asked at every vendor I went to. That made sense. Like, I mean, I didn't act at the box lunch vendor or anything like that. But yeah, there was a lot of pins. If you're a pin collector, oh my gosh,
a ton of pins, and I'm not. So that was. But they had some Funko stuff down there. I found they had one vendor there that had a lot of the soda can Funkos, and so I got a bunch of those for me and my family. And one of the vendors there had a small stuffed Figment plush. But I'm sure he does this to sell more stuff, but he had a $50 charge limit that he wouldn't let you use a credit card unless it was at least $50. Oh, okay. And his plush was like $35. I'm going like, well, looks like I'm gonna have to buy something else. So I bought some 1 or 2 more other things, and then but that was pretty neat. So I mean, I got usually I get some stuff in there, but that area seemed a lot smaller this year than prior years, and I'm not sure whether they devoted less space or were just less vendors this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I remember 2019, the guy had all those park maps.
Yeah,
he had like park maps going way back and tons of them. Like, I'm not sure where he got these all from, but he sold park maps like crazy at that. Yeah, so
but it was still a good time. I mean, even with the frustration with the reservation system, it was still fun.
Oh, I had a blast.
You just have to accept that there's going to be stuff that happens at these things, and that's going to be frustrating. But it's all part of the experience.
Yeah,
and you have to be flexible and make the best of what you can. Like what I don't know if I had mentioned when we were on air, but when we went in 2019, and my daughter on Friday got nothing, and she actually had no reservations for most of the expo, and she piggybacked as a guest for a couple of mine. But on Friday, she didn't go to anything that we went to on Friday because she just decided she was going to take Friday and just stand by people and get autographs from like people that she knew that were in the talent thing, and so that's all she did on Friday, and she did great. So I'm going like, well, I'm going to develop her philosophy. I'm just going to stand by as much as I can and do what I can with what I got, and make the best of it, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for coming on, Ray.
Well, thanks, Dan.
I think a really good tip too is get the Premier Pass. Those sell out so quickly, though. You haven't got a chance of getting one. Would you get one?
And they just keep getting more and more expensive.
Oh, I know. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the first year they offered them, I think they were $1,000, and the second year I'm going like, for what you get on with $1,000, that might be worth it. And then they increased them to like $2,000, and I'm going like, I don't know.
How much were they this year? I didn't.
I don't know. They were more than what I was going to pay for it. I'm going like, I don't want to pay that much.
See, for Star Wars Celebration in London, I got in like right away, super quick, because they put you in the queue before the queue. And my daughter was on her laptop and on her computer and on her phone, and I was only on my phone, and I got in like before any of her three. I got in like really quick, and the Premier Pass was still available, and I wasn't expecting that. So I'm like, I'm going all the way.
So you had to decide.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta hurry up and quick.
Decide on
so
it.
So I'm humming and hawing like, well, I'm going all the way to London. So I purchase. I clicked purchase, and by the time I did that, they were gone. So that made up my mind for me. I wasn't able to get it.
How much were they?
I can't remember. It was probably like $5,000 or something like that. I can't remember. Or everything's in pounds, so you don't even know what it means when you it's 10,000 pounds or something like. I don't know. But anyways, I got a regular 4-day ticket, so so I'm happy with that. But anyways, it was great having you on there, Ray.
Thanks for having me, Stan.
Hopefully I'll see you at the next one, if not before then.
Okay.
And you want to tell Ken?
Take it away, Ken.
If you have a brilliant idea for a future edition of The Solo Show and would like to take your turn in the guest host's chair, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us your idea for the show, and we'll contact you about a date and a time for you to join us. If you would just like to keep the conversation going or have a comment about a previous show, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. All logos, sounds, and songs that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are owned solely by the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be, the ownership of The Solo Show podcast. We hope you'll join us for the next adventure on The Solo Show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.